Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, June 24th, and this is the search news we covered at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Google has done another unconfirmed update starting this holiday weekend, Father's Day, Juneteenth, as well as throughout the week. We'll discuss a lot more about that. There's a new Google News with a lot of cool features, as well as opening back up in Spain. We have tons and tons of Google SEO topics and Google Ads topics and local, so definitely stay tuned. There's a lot to discuss, and you don't want to miss it. And of course, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Duda. Thank you so much, Duda, for sponsoring. Really deeply appreciate it. Duda is the professional website builder that you can call your own, so definitely check them out at duda.co. Okay, so like I said, there was a Google search, unconfirmed Google search ranking update that started around, I don't know, June 19th, 20th, 21st. And it kind of continued to roll out and dribble out over the course of the week. We noticed it around Father's Day and the Juneteenth holiday. There was definitely a lot of tremors, a lot of chatter. Some people saying it's actually reversing what they saw with the Google May core update. Some people are saying it's new. We don't really know. Google did not confirm it. But then on June 23rd, there was a massive spike compared to what happened on the weekend. Again, unconfirmed, all the tools kind of spiked up, jumped up. I think this morning it kind of calmed down a little bit, but there's also a lot of chatter. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, sites that got hit by the May 2022 core update actually saw an increase or decrease after this. Some sites fully recovered. It's very interesting. Again, Google has not confirmed they made any changes to any of that, but we all know that Google does make changes between Google core updates. Is it a core update related thing or something else? We don't know. But if you did see spikes throughout the week, so starting last weekend, even big one on June 23rd, you are definitely not alone. Google News has relaunched a new design. We covered the new design about a month or two ago, I believe. And yeah, we saw this coming. We saw Google testing this, and now Google actually officially launched it this week on June 22nd. The new design obviously has a much more newsy and portal-looking interface. It also lets you customize the topics for yourself. So you can say, I want to see more business and sports, and you can actually drag and drop where you want to see that on the Google News homepage. And that will let you customize it. And for those in Spain, Google actually relaunched in Spain after 8 years. There was a Spanish law that basically didn't allow Google to actually link to news sites or include snippets of news sites to be more specific. So Google just said, you know what, we're getting rid of Google News. In Spain, and Google did that 8 years ago, and they came out with some type of agreement, and now Google is back in Spain for Google News and showing Google News results, which is pretty cool, and that's a good thing for everybody, I believe. But definitely take a look at the Google News homepage. I don't use it much. I don't know if you guys do. If you do like Google News and you check it out and you like the updates or changes, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm very curious what people think. It does look much more visually appealing, and the customizations do look pretty good. Google has made some changes to their help docs, their search help docs, specifically the Googlebot help doc, now is updated to say Googlebot can crawl the first 15 megabytes of content in an HTML file or supported text-based file. After the first 15 megabytes of the file, Googlebot will stop crawling and only consider the first 15 megabytes for content for indexing. So that's a lot of content. 15 megabytes is big, so most people don't have to worry. But if you are worried, just run it through a Google Search Console, your own inspection tool, see what Google renders. It shows you a visual look at it, as well as the HTML that it renders. And Google will show you right there. And that's a good way to see that. Google also updated the job posting data. Google specified that when you use the job location property, you must also include the address country property. So don't forget that. And Google moved some of the HTTP status code documentation around. Google did 301 to redirect that stuff, so it's all handled. Google has clarified also how to use product-rich results in the help documents. That's another Google update. Now Google's saying that for product rich results supported pages, you have to add detail around how these rich results can be used for product variants, where each product variant has a distinct URL. Google added basically a line, this includes product variants where each product variant has a distinct URL. In short, the page may be ineligible for product rich results in search results because the experience is only supported for pages holding a single product. And product variants may be treated as distinct products in Google search. So you have to make sure to handle those things if you are using product variants. Product variants are basically if you have a shirt and maybe you sell it in the same page, has the shirt sold in different colors, like green, blue, yellow. those we consider product variants on the same page, and you make sure to handle it with the thing to support product-rich results. Gary Ish basically said, this is interesting. This is on the Google Search Off the Record podcast. He basically reaffirmed that Google no longer assigns less importance to content or items that are not visible on the page. It just needs to be in HTML or immediate JavaScript as it matters to Google. And basically Google's saying here, like, as long as it's shown in the HTML, we don't really care if it's visible on the page. This came, I think, this is not new, but Martin Splitt said, Martin Splitt from Google didn't know this, and he works at Google. That being said, I think what Gary's saying here is when it comes to, like, remember when Google said we are going to go ahead and look at the content hidden in expandable tabs, concordance, and so forth, especially around the Google mobile first indexing. Well, mobile first indexing is number one. It's done. It's out there. It's how Google indexes content, and I believe that's what he's referring to. Where, again, if the content is not immediately visible on the page, it's in an accordion, it's in an expandable tab, and it's in the HTML. Google will go ahead and count it just as much as Google will count any other content on the page as purely visible. That's what I think he's saying. He's not saying hide content on the page. I would never recommend hiding content that's not visible to users at all without types of user interface to actually get to that content. That would be considered cloaking and not allowed. Also, Gary said in that Search Off the Record podcast that hyphens are still recommended over underscores in URLs. Just, again, this is going on for the past, a decade and a half or so, where Google's going back and forth. In short, Gary said still try to use hyphens as word separators in the URL. So if your URL is domain.com/my page goes here, separate my with a hyphen, my hyphen or dash page hyphen, as opposed to underscores. And this goes on way back in history. In 2007, Matt Cutts, the old Google guy, used to say hyphens and dashes are hyphens over dashes. He said hyphens or dashes, which is the same thing, over underscores. He did clarify that Google does not treat them the same, that hyphenated or dashed are word separators, and Google treats them separately than underscores. And he did say in 2017 he really wanted Google to actually treat them the same, but he didn't win that battle. 2016, John Mueller actually said that it doesn't make a huge difference to have dashes versus underscores. But in short, you should probably use dashes. I would not, again, I repeat, I would not change URLs that are already done. Leave them as is. It's not worth changing URLs. There would be too much of a negative impact by changing URLs that have been around for a while. Any new URLs, definitely use hyphens or dashes over underscores. Google local service reviews requirement went up from 1 to 5 for certain professions. So if you want to go ahead and Google and serve up Google local service reviews, you want to make sure to have at least 5 reviews for some of these things. Now, vast majority of them still only require 1 review. It's amazing to me that Google only requires 1 review to be eligible for local service ads. All you need is 1 person to leave your review, and you're eligible. That being said, they upped the ante for certain types of professions, specifically real estate agents and brokers, personal injury lawyers, HVAC companies, house cleaning, tree service, and roofing companies. So those 6 categories all now require 5 or more reviews to be eligible to serve up local service ads. The other several dozen, or I think 3 dozen, I'm not exactly sure, a lot of them, only require 1 review, which is pretty amazing. Only need 1 review. So ask your uncle or whatever to go ahead and leave you a review. Google Ads will be fixing their Performance Max report that lets you compare product listings. In the report, you really can't really compare your product listings based on Performance Max. There's a bug in there, and Google is going to hopefully fix that, so just keep that in mind. It looks like Google Shopping ads are now dynamically inserting some keywords when it's relevant into the title of the shopping ad. What happens is when you do a search for, let's say, material, I don't know, gold, something or another, gold necklace, Google might show ads in the shopping ads, and they might insert the word gold, even though your title doesn't say gold because your query includes gold. The old-fashioned dynamic insertion, Google has not confirmed this is being done, but looks like it is, or being tested at least. Google has added the LGBTQ plus owned business attribute to local businesses. It is Pride Month, and Google released it this week. They used to have a feature, or they still have a feature that says this is a place that's friendly towards LGBTQ plus Q plus groups, but now they are saying that if it's owned by that group, you could actually go ahead and add that attribute, just like the other attributes like Latino-owned Family-led is removed, Black-owned, the list goes on, veteran-owned, and so forth. Google is also testing a new local feature, an expandable feature, where you could see the in-store nearby feature, where you could click on it and it'll expand. Google actually did this also with the local packs in general. We reported that about a few weeks ago, so it's interesting. Google's now showing local intent stuff in a tabbed or expandable menu. Google is testing rounded favicons in the mobile search results, which is, I kind of like it. It looks pretty cool. Here's a screenshot of that. Bing is testing having secure and HTTPS labels in its search results for snippets. Bing tested this a while back, but now they're testing it again, and again showing the secure and HTTPS labels for secure websites. Kind of don't see the purpose. Most sites now are secure. Google's also testing this 2 rows of like branded box queries. We've seen this all over the place where Google's showing way more image boxes, these squared image boxes, row by row by row. And it's kind of getting annoying. I don't like it so much. Maybe for some queries it's okay, but it's getting all over the place and it's a little bit too much. In any event, this is people are noticing it, and it's happening a lot more often now. Google is testing bullying the domain name in the search results in the snippet. Google's been doing this for a while, testing this on and off. They keep testing it. Google has launched an interactive search history infographic. It goes through a lot of cool stuff about how Google search started and the timeline of the events, the major events throughout that timeline from 1998 when Google launched, and it goes through things like, I don't know, BERT and mobile first indexing and lots and lots of different things. Like people also asked HTTPS, you name it, multi-search, BERT, all this type of stuff. So it's pretty cool to see that, and it might trigger some things for SEOs who may have been hit by some of these updates. Google is trying out to do some YouTube shorts for SEO-related content. Alan Kent did one just recently. I'm not a huge fan of SEO shorts. I'm going to say Google YouTube shorts, but it's there and maybe it's helpful. I know John Mueller has these short videos. They're not in short format, YouTube short format. They're just short videos. And Matt Cutts used to do these short videos, but now they're trying it in the YouTube shorts format, which you really can't embed well. You have to embed them as a normal video by changing the shorts parameter in the URL to watch, and then you can embed them, but then they don't look like a YouTube short. In any event, hopefully YouTube will improve that, but it's pretty cute. I mean, everybody's into these short videos now because the attention span keeps getting less and less, and I feel like these videos are way too long in general. I don't know, maybe I should make this whole video into a minute and say what you missed in a minute over the past week. Do you want a minute version of this video? Let me know in the comments. We want this to be very much shorter? Let me know what you think. Is it too long? Is it perfect? Do you want it longer? Do you want it shorter? Let me know. And we do have stories. We do have web stories. So it's stories.seroundtable.com. They actually convert this video into short clips of stories. So if you want web stories, you can actually check that out there. And finally, John Mueller, as we said, made some significant changes to the format of the Google SEO office hours. They're his live video things. They're no longer live. They're only 30 minutes. And now, instead of it being, I think they used to do it like 4 times a month. Now he's doing it only once a month. He's cutting back on it again. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, SEOroundtable.com over the past week. Again, thanks to Duda for sponsoring. Deeply, deeply appreciated. Thank you, Duda. And everyone have a great weekend. Be safe, be healthy. And I'll see some of you who are based in the New York City area at the Google New York City office Monday night. If you were accepted to be there, I look forward to seeing you at the SEO meetup there, the first SEO meetup that I'm going to in a long time. Everyone have a great weekend. Bye-bye.